And when we come to Anita, Antoinette's young and beautiful mother, Anita is the second wife, first to Alexander Kossoway, and later to Mr. Mason. The white Jamaican women ostracized Anita because of her beauty and outsider status. She is originally from Martinique. Martinique at disembodied prisons throughout the book, and it shows signs of madness and melancholy in her daughter's earliest recollections, often the subject of gossip. She feels abandoned, scared, and persecuted because of her race, and Annette dies when Antoinette is at the convent school. So here we talk about Antoine's mother, who was persecuted and who felt abandoned and scared. She got married first time to Alexander Kossoway and later to Mr. Mason. So the white Jamaican women ostracized Annie because of her beauty and outsider status. She is originally from Martinique. And as I said, she died while Antoinette is at the convent school. As a modern novel, when we come to the narrative technique, we will find it is divided into three parts, each of which is written as if in a different voice. Antoinette, Rochester, Grace Poole, sometimes the different characters discuss different events in different ways. And this makes the reader question the reliability of the account. Stream of consciousness technique is used tremendously in the modern novel, which depends on flashback. If you want to know more about the stream of consciousness technique, you can go back to the channel and listen to the lecture of the stream of consciousness technique. So as I said, the narrative technique is divided into three parts, each of which is written as if in a different voice. Antoinette, Rochester, Grace Poole, sometimes the different characters discuss a different event in different ways. This makes the reader question the reliability of the accounts. A stream consciousness technique is used in the novel. When we talk about the symbols, and the modern novel is a symbolic novel, we have the bears, Antoinette parrot cuckoo has its wing clipped by English man. So we have Antoinette's parrot cuckoo has its wing clipped by Englishman, Mr. Mason, her stepfather, and perishes in a fire, foreshadowing Antoinette's fate. First, we have Antoinette has a recurring dream of being led by a faceless man into a dark forest and has a foreboding feel to it and foreshadows her life at Thornfield. The estate of the couple honeymoons at is called Galbois, which means the great forest. Rochester gets lost in the woods and stumbles upon a ruined house, which foreshadows his own estate of Thornfield, which will become a ruin as well. So the symbols here, we have the bears and the forest. Let us hear now a video clip about a critique of the novel Wide Sargasso Sea.
Hi, and welcome to the last video of Jane Eyre Week, and it is a review of Wide Sargasso Sea by Rhys. First of all, a little spoiler warning. I can't really discuss this book without giving some spoilers away for Jane Eyre, so if you haven't read Jane Eyre yet and you don't want to know anything about the ending of the book, maybe don't watch this video. This book was published in 1966, about 120 years after Jane Eyre was published, and I read this book at university and also wrote an essay on it. I bet I still have the notes for that essay around here somewhere. The best way to describe this is as a sort of fan fiction for Jane Eyre. It is in fact a prequel. It tells the story of Antoinette Causeway, or as we've come to know her in Jane Eyre, Bertha, Rochester's wife, who is also described as the mad woman in the attic. This book mostly takes place in Jamaica and Dominica. It starts when Antoinette Causeway is a young girl and it's divided up into three parts. The first part is mostly about her childhood. There are a lot of traumatic things that happen to her, including her house being set on fire. Then it jumps forward quite a few years, and it's from the point of view of a certain unnamed man, which which we can all assume is Mr. Rochester. His memories of the last couple of weeks are a bit vague, but he married a girl called Antoinette who had quite a lot of money, which is now in his possession. Everything is sort of fine. He's lost a lot of memories in a sort of fever dream, but they're on their honeymoon. There's lots of vivid descriptions of the island and how hot it is and how out of place he feels there. Everything seems to be a threat to him, from the plants and the animals to the servants that are there, and even Antoinette. And then from time to time, it also switches to Antoinette's point of view, who's kind of feeling the same suspicion when it comes to this strange English man she's married, while at the same time she's sort of desperate to make him love her. And as you might predict, all of these things sort of start spiraling out of control. The writing is absolutely beautiful. Sometimes I found the story a little bit hard to understand because there's lots of different names and locations that I'm not very familiar with. I feel like one of the main questions you're kind of forced to ask yourself while reading this book is, who is the mad one? Are they both mad? Did one of them drive the other one mad? They're two complete strangers. They're trying to meet in the middle, and in doing that, it just completely derails. She is stuck to him because he now has all of her money, and so she can't just run away, and he is stuck to her, and he's sort of finding out the backstory of how her mother went mad, and apparently it runs in the family, and he is now married to her, so he also can't just leave her. It feels like they're sort of torturing each other while not actually communicating. It deals a lot with race and the rights and the position of a woman in society. And I think one of the most important things, and probably one of the biggest motivations behind writing this story, is that Bertha in Jane Eyre was sort of seen as an inconvenience because you're there with Jane, but she never got to tell her own story. And this is a chance to see it from a different point of view, although I have to admit that after finishing the book, you don't quite have a clear story of what's happened, but at least it made you think about it a lot. The edition that I have is a sort of weird student edition, which has all the lines numbered, and then it has a ton of questions in the back. And one of them is, do you think this is a Gothic novel? And although there aren't sort of big creepy castles and dark hallways, it does feel like a Gothic novel to me, and I feel like it's just a very different setting than we might be used to. It still feels very eerie and oppressive and feels like something is hiding that's about to come out. I also really wonder what it would be like to read this book if you've never read Jane Eyre. And finally, there's also the thing where once you've read this, you can't really disconnect it from Jane Eyre anymore. She's created this story behind Bertha. Whether you choose to accept that as a sort of truth about this character, you've read it, so it will be in your head forever. I feel like this is a book that you can read over and over again, and you'll discover new things in it all the time. In the comments, I would love to hear what you thought of this book if you've read it. I really hope you enjoyed Jane Eyre Week. Thanks so much for everyone who's been tweeting and participating, and I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!
إذا عجبتكم هذه المحاضرة تنسوا اللايك والاشتراك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.